Hey everybody, hope you like my octopus in the background. So today I read an article on the importance of keeping a training log, which we all know has probably some really good benefits to it, but there are a couple in here that maybe you don't normally think of. So first of all, it's going to help you with setting personal bests, or personal records. So when you keep a training log, you maybe have an idea of what the last personal record was. It's right there in your book or in your phone somewhere, and then you kind of can plan on how to work your way up each set to reach a PR by the time you get to that last and final lift. So that's obviously one way. Another way would be to celebrate successes. Of course, if you hit that personal record lift or whatever, you're able to celebrate right away. But if you've been keeping track of metabolic conditioning style workouts, you're also able to look back and see how your times have improved, or maybe how like your weight increased during that same workout, and you're able to just see improvements overall. It also is going to help you with goal setting, of course. So you can maybe plan out, say 3 months down the road, you want this to happen. So by the end of month 1, you're going to plan it out. You want this goal by then. By the end of month 2, you want another goal that brings you partway to that 3-month goal, right? You kind of break it down into smaller bits. Another thing that maybe people normally don't think of, this is the final thing, is that it can actually help you determine kind of maybe what led up to your injury, or the things that happened leading up to your injury. Maybe you notice that, like say you have a knee injury, for example, and then you notice that leading up to that injury in your training log, you have a big like spike in workout volume, or you have a big spike in running volume or something like that. So it can be really good to look back on that and then maybe see where that injury happened, especially if you have a recurring injury or something like that. If it's happened a couple times and it's kind of, you notice the same pattern, let's say there's a spike in running, injury, calm down, feeling good again, spike in running, another injury, right? So it can be really helpful for that. Another thing that's really good about keeping track of a log is that if you are recovering from an injury, let's say, there's kind of a formula where you take your acute workload and chronic workload. So your acute workload is for 1 week at a time. Your chronic workload is what you've done over the past 4 weeks. So you never want your acute workload to be more than 1.5 times of what your chronic workload was. So let's say, for easy math, this is going to be a really simple example, but let's say that you ran an average of 2 miles per week for your 4-week chronic workload. Okay, so that was an average of 2 miles for that 4-week period. In that 5th week, you're not going to want to run more than 3 miles, right? Because that would be 1.5 times what your chronic workload that 4-week period was. So that's another way that keeping track of logs and journals and stuff like that is going to help you prevent injury, but it can also be a really good way to figure out where that injury happened maybe, or why it happened, and then you can reverse engineer that and then come up with a better plan for the future. So those are a couple key reasons why you should be keeping a training log. If you don't, start doing it and start writing down as much information as you can. Maybe if you felt pain, write that down. Maybe you have a food log on the same page or on the same book, and then you can see how you were feeling, how much water you drank, how much protein, carbs. I mean, this is getting really in depth, but the more measures you can get, the better off you're going to be, and the better off you're going to be able to tell leading up to a personal best. If you're kind of had good sleep, you had good food, you're like, hey, I'm ready to go today, or maybe you didn't, then you can kind of look back at the last couple weeks and say, hey, maybe this isn't the time to try to hit a personal best or whatever it is. So hopefully that was helpful, and have a good day, everybody.